What if the real reason you're not losing weight has nothing to do with calories, exercise, or even your age? What if the problem actually starts at night, while you're sleeping? Most people have no idea that one of the biggest fat-burning switches in the body is controlled by insulin, and the foods you eat before bed can either activate fat burning or completely shut it down for the entire night. Here's what happens inside the body. During sleep, your metabolism is supposed to shift into repair mode. This is the time when your body naturally increases growth hormone, repairs damaged tissues, balances blood sugar, and starts using stored fat as fuel. But this process only works properly when insulin levels stay low. Insulin is a storage hormone. Its job is to move sugar out of the bloodstream and into the cells. But when insulin remains elevated at night, especially after late-night snacking, the body stays locked in fat storage mode. This means your body cannot efficiently access stored body fat for energy. One of the worst things you can do before bed is consume refined carbohydrates or sugar. Foods like ice cream, cookies, chips, soda, cereal, or even fruit juice can rapidly spike blood glucose. In response, the pancreas releases insulin to control that spike. The problem is that insulin can stay elevated for hours, especially in people with insulin resistance. And insulin resistance is far more common than most people realize. When cells stop responding properly to insulin, the body compensates by producing even more of it. Over time, this creates a hormonal environment where fat burning becomes extremely difficult, particularly around the abdomen and liver. At night, elevated insulin also interferes with another critical hormone, growth hormone. Growth hormone is one of the body's most powerful fat-burning and anti-aging hormones. It helps preserve lean muscle mass, supports tissue repair, improves metabolic function, and stimulates fat breakdown during sleep. But high insulin suppresses growth hormone release. So when someone eats a high-carb snack before bed, they are not just consuming extra calories. They are disrupting an entire hormonal process that controls nighttime fat metabolism. The liver also plays a major role here. During sleep, the liver helps regulate blood sugar and supports detoxification pathways. But when excess sugar is consumed late at night, the liver becomes overloaded. Instead of focusing on fat metabolism and cellular repair, it has to process glucose and convert excess sugar into stored fat through a process called de novo lipogenesis. This is one reason why late-night eating is strongly associated with fatty liver disease, stubborn belly fat, and metabolic slowdown. Another issue is cortisol. When blood sugar rises sharply and then crashes during the night, the body responds by releasing stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline. This can wake you up around 2 or 3 a.m., increase nighttime heart rate, and trigger cravings the next morning. Elevated cortisol also encourages fat storage, especially visceral fat around the organs. Sleep quality suffers as well. Deep sleep is when the body restores hormone balance. Poor sleep increases ghrelin, the hunger hormone, while lowering leptin, the hormone that tells your brain you're full. This hormonal imbalance makes people crave more sugar and processed foods the next day, creating a cycle that damages metabolism even further. One of the best strategies before bed is to stop eating at least 2 to 3 hours before sleep. This gives insulin time to fall naturally so the body can transition into fat-burning mode overnight. Hydration also matters. Mild dehydration can increase cortisol and impair metabolic efficiency. Magnesium-rich foods or magnesium supplementation may help relax the nervous system, support insulin sensitivity, and improve sleep quality. Magnesium is involved in hundreds of biochemical reactions, including glucose metabolism and energy production. Protein intake during the day is also important because stable blood sugar starts long before bedtime. Diets low in protein often increase nighttime cravings and blood sugar instability. Healthy fats and nutrient-dense meals can help reduce insulin spikes and support better hormonal regulation throughout the night. The bottom line is this: your body is designed to burn fat during sleep, but only under the right hormonal conditions. If insulin stays elevated because of late-night eating, fat burning slows down dramatically. The body remains trapped in storage mode instead of repair mode. So if you want to improve metabolism, reduce belly fat, support hormone balance, and wake up feeling more energized, one of the most powerful changes you can make is surprisingly simple. Stop triggering insulin right before bed. What if your body already has a built-in fat-burning system that becomes most active while you sleep, but most people unknowingly shut it down every single night? The truth is, some of the most powerful metabolic hormones in the body are released during deep sleep. And if these hormones are working properly, your body can burn fat, repair tissues, stabilize blood sugar, and improve overall metabolism while you are resting. One of the most important hormones involved in this process is growth hormone. Despite its name, growth hormone does far more than support growth. In adults, it plays a major role in fat metabolism, muscle preservation, cellular repair, and recovery. During the first few hours of deep sleep, the brain signals the pituitary gland to release a surge of growth hormone into the bloodstream. This hormone acts like a metabolic switch. It helps mobilize stored fat from fat cells and converts it into usable energy. In other words, while you sleep, your body can actually shift into a fat-burning state if the hormonal environment is healthy enough. But there is another hormone that works closely with this process, and that hormone is melatonin. Most people think melatonin only controls sleep, but it does much more than that. Melatonin helps regulate the body's circadian rhythm, supports mitochondrial function, reduces oxidative stress, and may even influence fat metabolism directly. Mitochondria are the energy-producing structures inside your cells. They determine how efficiently your body burns fuel. When melatonin levels are healthy, mitochondrial function improves, allowing the body to produce energy more efficiently and reduce metabolic stress. Melatonin production naturally increases when the environment becomes dark. However, modern habits are disrupting this process. Exposure to bright screens, artificial light, and blue light at night can suppress melatonin production significantly. This affects not only sleep quality but also metabolic regulation. Poor melatonin production often leads to shallow sleep, nighttime awakenings, and reduced deep sleep cycles. And without deep sleep, growth hormone release becomes impaired. This creates a chain reaction that slows fat burning and weakens metabolic recovery overnight. Another major factor is insulin. High insulin levels before bed can block growth hormone activity. This is why nighttime eating, especially carbohydrates and sugar, can interfere with overnight fat burning. The body cannot effectively burn fat while insulin remains elevated. When insulin stays low during sleep, the body is more likely to enter a state of lipolysis, which means breaking down stored fat for energy. But if insulin spikes because of late-night snacking, the body remains in storage mode instead of repair mode. This hormonal interaction becomes even more important as people age. Natural growth hormone production declines over time, especially in adults who are sleep-deprived, insulin-resistant, or chronically stressed. Reduced growth hormone levels are associated with increased belly fat, muscle loss, slower metabolism, and lower energy levels. Cortisol also plays a critical role here. Cortisol is the body's primary stress hormone. In healthy circadian rhythms, cortisol should be low at night and higher in the morning. But chronic stress, poor sleep habits, and nighttime stimulation can elevate cortisol during sleep hours. When cortisol remains high at night, the body shifts into a stress response state instead of a recovery state. Elevated cortisol increases blood sugar, promotes fat storage around the abdomen, and interferes with both melatonin and growth hormone production. This is why stress management before bed is not just about relaxation, it directly affects metabolism. Creating a calm nighttime routine can support healthier hormone balance and improve overnight fat burning. Magnesium is another overlooked factor. Magnesium supports nervous system relaxation, muscle recovery, blood sugar control, and melatonin regulation. Many adults are deficient in magnesium due to processed food consumption and chronic stress. Low magnesium levels are strongly linked to poor sleep quality and metabolic dysfunction. Vitamin D deficiency may also contribute to hormonal imbalance and weight gain. Vitamin D receptors are found throughout the body, including in fat tissue, the pancreas, and the immune system. Low vitamin D levels are associated with insulin resistance, poor sleep quality, and impaired metabolic function. Temperature can also influence nighttime fat metabolism. Sleeping in a cooler environment may activate brown adipose tissue, commonly called brown fat. Unlike regular white fat, brown fat burns calories to generate heat. This process increases energy expenditure and supports metabolic activity during sleep. The body is designed to heal, restore, and burn fat during the night. But this only happens when hormones are properly synchronized. Deep sleep, stable insulin, healthy melatonin production, and low nighttime cortisol create the ideal environment for overnight fat metabolism. If you consistently support these hormonal pathways before bed, your body becomes far more efficient at burning fat naturally, without forcing the metabolism to work against its own biological rhythms. What if one hidden hormone is silently blocking your ability to burn fat every night, even if you're eating healthy and trying to lose weight? Most people focus only on calories and exercise, but they completely ignore one of the most powerful metabolic disruptors in the body, cortisol. When cortisol stays elevated at night, your body shifts into survival mode, and that can dramatically slow fat burning, increase belly fat storage, and damage metabolic health over time. Cortisol is the body's primary stress hormone, produced by the adrenal glands. In healthy conditions, cortisol follows a natural rhythm. It should be highest in the morning to help you wake up feeling alert and energized, then gradually decline throughout the day so the body can enter a calm, restorative state at night. But modern lifestyles are disrupting this rhythm constantly. Chronic stress, poor sleep habits, excessive screen exposure, late-night eating, caffeine, blood sugar instability, and even emotional stress can keep cortisol elevated long after sunset. When this happens, the body interprets it as a sign of danger. Instead of focusing on repair and fat burning during sleep, the body prioritizes survival. This has major consequences for metabolism. One of the first things elevated cortisol does is raise blood sugar. Cortisol stimulates the liver to release stored glucose into the bloodstream because the body believes it needs immediate energy to respond to stress. As blood sugar rises, insulin also increases to control that glucose. This is where the problem begins. High insulin at night prevents efficient fat burning. The body cannot easily access stored body fat when insulin levels remain elevated. Instead of burning fat during sleep, the body stays trapped in fat storage mode. Over time, this hormonal pattern contributes to insulin resistance. Cells stop responding efficiently to insulin, forcing the pancreas to produce even more of it. This creates a cycle of increased fat storage, especially around the abdomen. Visceral fat, the deep fat surrounding internal organs, is strongly associated with chronically elevated cortisol. This type of fat is metabolically active and linked to inflammation, fatty liver disease, high blood pressure, and metabolic dysfunction. Cortisol also affects appetite-regulating hormones. High-stress hormone levels can increase ghrelin, the hormone that stimulates hunger, while reducing leptin sensitivity, the hormone responsible for signaling fullness. This imbalance often leads to nighttime cravings, emotional eating, and increased desire for sugar and refined carbohydrates. Another major issue is sleep disruption. Elevated cortisol can prevent the body from reaching deep restorative sleep. Many people with high nighttime cortisol wake up around 2 or 3 a.m. with a racing mind, increased heart rate, or difficulty falling back asleep. This is not just a sleep problem, it's a hormonal problem. Deep sleep is when the body performs most of its metabolic repair work. During this phase, growth hormone is released, tissue repair increases, immune function improves, and fat metabolism becomes more efficient. But cortisol suppresses many of these recovery processes. High cortisol can also interfere with thyroid function. The thyroid controls metabolic speed, energy production, and body temperature regulation. Chronic stress may reduce the conversion of inactive thyroid hormone T4 into active T3, slowing the metabolism even further. This is one reason many people under chronic stress feel fatigued, cold, mentally foggy, and unable to lose weight despite dieting. The nervous system is deeply connected to this process as well. The body has two major nervous system states: the sympathetic nervous system, known as the fight or flight state, and the parasympathetic nervous system, known as the rest and repair state. To burn fat efficiently overnight, the body needs to shift into parasympathetic dominance. But elevated cortisol keeps the nervous system activated, making true recovery difficult. Magnesium plays an important role here. Magnesium helps regulate the nervous system, support muscle relaxation, stabilize blood sugar, and reduce stress responses. Chronic stress rapidly depletes magnesium stores, which can worsen sleep quality and metabolic imbalance. Vitamin B deficiencies may also contribute to stress-related fatigue because B vitamins are essential for adrenal function and energy metabolism. Without adequate nutrients, the body becomes less resilient to stress and more prone to hormonal dysfunction. One of the most powerful ways to support overnight fat burning is to lower cortisol naturally before bed. Avoiding stimulating activities late at night, reducing blue light exposure, stabilizing blood sugar through balanced meals, and maintaining consistent sleep schedules can significantly improve hormonal balance. Even simple changes like avoiding caffeine in the evening, practicing deep breathing, and sleeping in a dark, cool environment may help reduce nighttime cortisol production. The body is designed to repair itself during sleep, but when stress hormones stay elevated, the metabolism shifts away from healing and fat burning and toward survival. This is why managing cortisol is not just important for stress. It is essential for metabolic health, hormone balance, sleep quality, and long-term fat loss. What if your bedroom temperature is secretly influencing how much fat your body burns every single night? Most people think fat loss only depends on diet and exercise, but there is another powerful metabolic system that activates during sleep, and it's directly connected to body temperature. Deep inside the body is a special type of fat known as brown fat, and when properly activated, it can increase calorie burning, improve insulin sensitivity, and support overnight metabolism in ways most people never realize. Unlike regular white fat, which stores excess energy, brown fat is metabolically active. Its primary job is to generate heat. This process is called thermogenesis. Brown fat contains a high number of mitochondria, the energy-producing structures inside cells that determine how efficiently the body burns fuel. These mitochondria contain iron-rich proteins that give brown fat its darker color and unique metabolic abilities. When activated, brown fat burns glucose and stored fat to produce heat, increasing energy expenditure without physical activity. One of the strongest triggers for brown fat activation is exposure to cooler temperatures. When the body senses a mild drop in environmental temperature, the nervous system sends signals that stimulate brown fat activity. Instead of simply shivering to stay warm, the body begins increasing metabolic heat production through thermogenesis. This process requires energy, meaning the body starts burning more calories, even during sleep. This is one reason sleeping in an overly warm room may reduce metabolic efficiency overnight. Cooler sleeping environments may help activate brown fat and improve nighttime fat utilization. Brown fat also plays a major role in glucose metabolism. Active brown fat can pull glucose out of the bloodstream and use it for energy, helping stabilize blood sugar levels. This improves insulin sensitivity, which is critical for fat burning and metabolic health. Insulin sensitivity refers to how effectively cells respond to insulin. When insulin sensitivity is healthy, the body can regulate blood sugar with lower amounts of insulin. But when insulin resistance develops, insulin levels remain elevated, promoting fat storage and slowing fat breakdown. Brown fat activation may help counter some of these metabolic problems by increasing glucose uptake and energy expenditure. Another important factor is mitochondrial health. Poor mitochondrial function is strongly linked to fatigue, weight gain, brain fog, and metabolic slowdown. When mitochondria become inefficient, the body struggles to convert stored fuel into usable energy. Several lifestyle factors damage mitochondria, including chronic inflammation, high sugar intake, nutrient deficiencies, poor sleep, and oxidative stress. But healthy sleep habits and proper metabolic support may improve mitochondrial performance over time. Melatonin also influences this process. Most people know melatonin as the sleep hormone, but it also supports mitochondrial repair and antioxidant protection. Healthy melatonin production may enhance brown fat activity and metabolic efficiency during sleep. However, exposure to artificial light at night can suppress melatonin production significantly. This not only affects sleep quality, but may also interfere with nighttime metabolism and fat-burning mechanisms. The thyroid gland is another major player in temperature regulation and metabolic rate. Thyroid hormones help control body temperature, energy production, and oxygen utilization inside cells. When thyroid function slows down, metabolism becomes less efficient, body temperature often decreases, and fat burning can become more difficult. Certain nutrient deficiencies can impair thyroid function and metabolic flexibility. Iodine, selenium, zinc, and iron are all essential for proper thyroid hormone production and conversion. Without adequate nutrients, the body may struggle to maintain optimal metabolic activity. Magnesium is also critical because it supports mitochondrial energy production, muscle recovery, nervous system balance, and glucose metabolism. Low magnesium levels are extremely common and often associated with poor sleep quality, fatigue, insulin resistance, and increased stress hormone activity. Another important factor is inflammation. Chronic inflammation interferes with hormone signaling and damages metabolic pathways. Highly processed foods, excess sugar, poor sleep, and chronic stress can all increase inflammatory activity inside the body. Inflammation may reduce brown fat efficiency and contribute to metabolic dysfunction over time. Sleep quality itself is essential for temperature regulation and metabolic repair. During deep sleep, the body performs many of its most important recovery functions, including hormone regulation, tissue repair, and energy balance. Poor sleep disrupts these systems and increases the risk of insulin resistance and weight gain. The nervous system also influences thermogenesis. A healthy balance between the sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous systems helps regulate metabolism efficiently. Chronic stress can impair this balance and reduce the body's ability to recover and burn fat overnight. The human body is designed to adapt to natural environmental signals, including light and temperature. Cooler nighttime conditions may help support these natural metabolic pathways by activating brown fat, improving insulin sensitivity, and enhancing energy expenditure during sleep. Fat burning is not controlled by a single factor. It is regulated by a complex interaction between hormones, mitochondria, sleep quality, temperature, nutrient status, and metabolic health. Supporting these systems together may significantly improve the body's ability to burn fat naturally overnight, while also improving long-term metabolic function. What if your liver is working against your fat loss goals every single night, and you don't even realize it? Most people think body fat is controlled only by calories, but one of the most important organs involved in metabolism is actually the liver. During sleep, the liver performs critical functions that regulate blood sugar, hormone balance, detoxification, and fat metabolism. But when alcohol and sugar are consumed before bed, these processes become disrupted, and the body shifts away from fat burning and into fat storage. The liver is one of the hardest working organs in the human body. It processes nutrients, stores glycogen, regulates blood glucose, produces bile for digestion, filters toxins, and helps manage hormone metabolism. While you sleep, the liver enters an important repair and metabolic regulation phase. But the liver has limited metabolic capacity at any given time. When alcohol or large amounts of sugar are consumed late at night, the liver is forced to prioritize processing those substances instead of focusing on overnight fat metabolism and cellular repair. This creates a major metabolic disadvantage for anyone trying to lose weight or improve overall health. Alcohol has a particularly strong effect on fat burning. The body treats alcohol as a toxin, which means the liver must metabolize it immediately. While alcohol is being processed, fat oxidation slows dramatically. In other words, the body temporarily stops prioritizing fat burning because detoxification becomes the primary concern. This is one reason alcohol consumption is strongly associated with abdominal weight gain and fatty liver disease. Alcohol also disrupts blood sugar regulation. It interferes with the liver's ability to maintain stable glucose levels during sleep, which can trigger nighttime cortisol release and stress responses. Many people experience disrupted sleep, increased heart rate, sweating, or early morning awakenings after consuming alcohol, even if they initially feel sleepy. This matters because deep sleep is one of the most important periods for metabolic repair. During deep sleep, the body releases growth hormone, improves insulin sensitivity, repairs tissues, and regulates appetite hormones. Alcohol reduces sleep quality and suppresses these recovery mechanisms. Another major problem is inflammation. Alcohol metabolism generates oxidative stress inside liver cells. Over time, repeated exposure increases inflammation, damages mitochondria, and impairs the liver's ability to process fats efficiently. Mitochondria are essential because they convert stored fuel into usable energy. When mitochondrial function declines, metabolism slows and fatigue increases. Sugar creates similar problems, especially when consumed late at night. Refined sugar and processed carbohydrates rapidly raise blood glucose levels. In response, the pancreas releases insulin to move that glucose into cells. But excess sugar that cannot be immediately used for energy is often converted into fat by the liver through a process called de novo lipogenesis. This newly created fat can accumulate in the liver itself, contributing to non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. Fatty liver is closely linked to insulin resistance, metabolic syndrome, obesity, and increased cardiovascular risk. Insulin is central to this entire process. Elevated insulin blocks fat burning and signals the body to store energy instead of using stored fat for fuel. When people consume desserts, sugary drinks, or processed snacks before bed, insulin may remain elevated for hours during sleep. This prevents the body from efficiently accessing fat stores overnight. Over time, chronic insulin elevation leads to insulin resistance. Cells stop responding normally to insulin, forcing the pancreas to release even more of it. This hormonal imbalance promotes stubborn belly fat, increased hunger, energy crashes, and metabolic dysfunction. The liver is also deeply connected to hormone regulation. It helps break down excess hormones and supports metabolic balance throughout the body. When liver function becomes overwhelmed, hormone metabolism may become less efficient, affecting cortisol, estrogen balance, thyroid activity, and overall energy regulation. Nutrient deficiencies can make this situation even worse. Choline deficiency, for example, may impair fat transport out of the liver, increasing the risk of fatty liver accumulation. Magnesium deficiency can worsen insulin resistance and stress hormone activity. Low levels of B vitamins may reduce the liver's ability to support energy metabolism and detoxification pathways. Fructose is another major concern. Unlike glucose, fructose is processed primarily by the liver. High fructose sweeteners found in sodas, desserts, and processed foods place a heavy burden on liver metabolism. Excess fructose intake is strongly associated with fatty liver disease and increased visceral fat accumulation. Hydration also affects liver function. Dehydration can impair detoxification processes, slow metabolism, and increase fatigue. Proper water intake supports circulation, nutrient transport, and metabolic efficiency throughout the night. The body is designed to perform important metabolic repair work during sleep. But when alcohol and sugar overload the liver before bed, the body cannot fully shift into fat-burning mode. Instead, energy is diverted toward detoxification, inflammation management, and blood sugar control. Protecting liver health is one of the most powerful strategies for improving metabolism, supporting insulin sensitivity, reducing belly fat, and enhancing overnight fat burning. When the liver is no longer overwhelmed by alcohol and excess sugar at night, the body can finally focus on the repair and metabolic recovery processes it was biologically designed to perform.